Let's talk about drones. Two drones in particular, the 3DR Solo and the Phantom 3 Professional. Two drones that are sort of in the mid-range, semi-professional drone range at about $1,000 each, and two drones that I happen to own myself. And I'd like to say up front, I'm no drone expert. I'm just giving you my opinion based on a person that uses a drone 3 or 4 times a week. What do I use my drones for? Well, mostly for my videos. I use them here on YouTube for my car reviews and for my helicopter reviews, for my video blogs, and occasionally for clearing leaves off the roof of my house and shooting fireworks at my neighbors. I'm not, of course, sponsored by any of these drone companies. This is just my own personal experience and opinions. So what do these drones have in common? Well, they're both about $1,000, as I said. They both incorporate GPS technology, and most importantly, they have high resolution gimbaled cameras. That is a camera that stays steady no matter what the drone is doing. Now, when I say $1,000, it's not necessarily true that they're both $1,000. The base of both drones is $1,000, but the Phantom 3 actually comes with a camera, whereas you have to supply the camera for the Solo, and that camera has to be a GoPro. So you're generally paying about $300 to $400 more for the Solo. So let's start with the 3DR Solo. I got this drone about 8 months ago, and I was pretty excited to get the Solo. I'd read a lot about it. It's the first drone to incorporate smart technology, the ability to do, I guess, automated flying. And those features were the orbit, where it flies around you, the follow me, where you set it a distance and it follows you as you walk or drive along, and the cable cam, which is like an autopilot. You say fly here to here to here, and it just does that continuously, or as many times, as quickly, as slowly as you want, which is great. At the time I bought the Solo, the DJI products, the Phantom products, did not have those features, so that was a big plus for 3DR and the Solo range. The second reason why I like the Solo was it's made here in the US, and I wanted to support local industry. And being in the US, I was hoping that it would have better customer support than, say, the DJI products, which have always had sort of questionable support. And the other big feature that I loved about the Solo was that it's supposed to have open source software. So a lot of people said that they were going to write applications for the Solo, give it a bunch of extra features, but those applications have never really turned up. There's been a few, but nothing groundbreaking, so that really hasn't been a big benefit. Overall, I have to say I haven't been that impressed with the Solo. Its biggest problems, I find, have been its short range. You know, this was supposed to be a great drone for me, because I wanted to be able to have the controller in a car that I was filming, drive the car up the road, have the drone shoot as I was going along. But I found its range is very limited, 400-500 meters tops. Once you get out of that range, it loses connection and the drone flies back to its start point. Also, the video quality going back to the device that you're watching it on is very poor, and gets blocky very quickly, as you can see in this demonstration. The second disappointment is really the picture quality, and that comes down to the gimbal on the Solo. You know, the gimbal has never really been as great as the gimbals you find on the Phantom series. It works, but it's nowhere near as steady as the cameras you see on the DJI range drones. And of course, it is a GoPro, so you're limited to what a GoPro can do as well. And a GoPro has a very wide angle view, which sometimes is good, but I find annoying because you really have to get the drone up close to most things that you're shooting. So it was never ideal having a GoPro on the drone, whereas the cameras you get on the Phantoms have got a slightly more narrow field of view, and that's much more suitable for what I video, at least. But the real disappointment for me on the Solo has been its unpredictable behavior. It is a very badly behaved drone as far as I'm concerned, and it just makes me not want to use it. And what I mean by that is, when you're controlling it, it's fine, but it uses GPS for staying still or learning where it's meant to be. And when it's got a good GPS lock, it works pretty well, although it's still, you know, the US GPS system is only accurate to within a few feet or a couple of meters. So it will still drift a little bit. But when it loses GPS connection, it'll fly off in one direction, and when it regains it again, it comes back again. And so if you're out in the open, this isn't a problem, but if you've got trees around you or it's bad weather, it really has trouble keeping a good GPS lock and behaves badly because of that. And I'm often flying them at fairly low level around other people's property, and I must have a reliable drone. I can't have the drone flying into someone else's property. And that's happened to me a couple of times with that Solo, and that's just not on as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I just can't use the Solo anymore because it's just not reliable enough for me, and it's so disappointing. But onto the Phantom 3 Professional, which is a drone, spoiler alert, I love, and I should have got this in the first place. You know, so many great things about this drone. It of course does have the smart shots just like the Solo, the Follow Me, the Orbit, the cable cam, and a bunch of other things, and those work fairly well. The thing to note about using things like Follow Me is that the device that you have with the controller needs to have GPS built into it, because this is what it follows. It follows the GPS in this device as opposed to the GPS in the controller. But that works okay. I still tend to control it myself, and the control on the Phantom is fantastic. It is so stable, and there's a couple of reasons for that. The Phantom drone uses both the US and the Russian satellites, and so it's picking up 18, 20, 25 satellites at once, and so when you tell it to stop, it stops and it stays exactly where you told it. It just doesn't move an inch, it just stays exactly there. And when you move it, it's so smooth and so predictable. I even fly this drone inside because even in a small room, I know exactly what it's going to do, whereas a Solo, God knows where it's going to go and what it's going to crash into. The other reason this is such a predictable and reliable drone is that it has radar on it. It has little radar sensors down here, and so when you come into land, it knows exactly how high off the ground it is, and it always comes in for a nice, precise, soft landing. Yeah, this is a drone you can rely on. You know exactly what it's going to do. Yeah, I love flying this drone, and it's so smooth. You know, it's you know, I'm no expert, as I said, but boy, I just have no trouble flying and keeping control of this drone. And part of that is that because it's so smooth, the video quality is fantastic. Not just sharp video quality from the 4K camera, but pretty good color saturation as well. I've got no complaints. The video is just top notch, even in really, really bad winds. You know, I've flown this at the limit of its abilities, you know, when strong 20 or 30 mile an hour winds, and it's been complaining that it's at the point of its limits, but still, I look at the quality of the video from those really windy days, and it's just rock solid. The next thing I love about it is its long range. It can go for miles. And I don't really care about going for miles. I don't generally fly it outside of where I can see it, but I love the fact that I can put the controller in the car and drive the car up the road and then come back and know the drone is still exactly where I left it. It never loses video connectivity. I can always see exactly where it is and what it's doing. It's just so reliable. It just makes carefree droning is fantastic. I know that it's not getting itself into trouble. Very predictable, as I said. And part of that is all the flight information you get on the screen. You get a map, you get telemetry data, you get everything you need to know about where and what the drone is up to, how much battery is left, how far away it is from you, and how much battery is required to get it back to you. All that stuff is so useful. It gives me everything that I could ever want. And not only that, it's reliable at getting it to the screen. And the reason for that is it's got a USB cable that runs to your PDA or your phone, whereas the Solo uses Wi-Fi, which is far less reliable. A proper cable, USB cable, is the way to go. I plug it in, it connects to the drone straight away. It is so reliable, a really great feature. Another thing that I find useful about the Phantoms is that they allow you to do catch landings. What is that? That is when the drone flies up to you and you can catch it in midair and turn it off. Now, some people might say, oh, why would you ever use such a silly feature? That's just showboating. Well, I use it all the time, and for good reason. One of the main reasons I use catch landing is that my dog is often around, little Tui's often around, and she wants to bite the drone. And so if I landed the drone while she's around, she's likely to run up and get herself bitten by the propellers. And the other reason is that I'm often flying near busy traffic, and I don't want to land it where there's any risk that it could damage other people's property. So sometimes I just quickly come and grab it, land it, and get it out of the way so it never causes any problem. And so catch landing is a great feature that you cannot do, as far as I'm aware, with a 3DR Solo. And as for customer service, you know, I am definitely a person that has had problems with customer service from DJI in the past. A year or so back, I had a problem with a previous drone, and it took me months to get any service out of them. That said, the last year or so, I've had nothing but good service from them. I sent my Osmo back, which was faulty from the start, and they wrote back to me every step of the way and got me new parts and a replacement. And so I think they've improved. That was certainly my biggest concern with this company, is their customer service has been terrible in the past, but I think it's on the improve. So to sum up, as you can see, I'm not a huge fan of the 3DR Solo anymore. It has been a huge disappointment to me. I just don't fly it anymore. I just don't trust it. It doesn't have any features that I love about it compared to the Phantom 3. The Phantom 3 is my favorite drone. I use it all the time. It is just the better drone of the two, no question. As far as I'm concerned, there may be features that other people use with the Solo that they love, but for what I use my drones for, the Phantom 3 is just a top-notch drone that I just can't think of anything I'd like it to do more. It's just so much fun to fly, such a safe, predictable, great little drone. So yeah, if you're thinking of spending $1,000 on a drone, the Phantom 3 Professional is the one to get. It is just a fantastic drone. Stay tuned, because I have a video coming up called Things I Can Lift With My Drone. And you're quite a small dog, so I'd be concerned if I was you.